Howdy, Connection Group leaders. Happy Thursday. I hope you're having a great day. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thursday. Well, maybe it'll be a happy Cowboys day. We'll see what happens. FYI, if we hang out long enough together, it's entirely possible you hear my father yell at the television here in a little while. He's watching the Cowboys game. He's a pretty big fan, and that can be a lot of fun to hear. So we'll see what happens, right? So we're up in Kansas right now with my parents. My dad is the pastor of the church that he grew up in. He's my grandmother's pastor, which is a lot of fun. So we're up here celebrating Thanksgiving and my birthday, and headed home tomorrow. But anyway, it's good to be up here, which is fun. By the way, just for fun, if you look at that beautiful young man right there in the red sweater, that's baby TJ. You can see all that glorious hair I had then. I still would have that if I let my hair grow, but I'm not going to do that. We get to talk about 2 Kings 25 today. Golly, is this a heavy passage? And honestly, it might feel kind of weird because it's Thanksgiving time and it's the kickoff of the holiday season. You would think, shouldn't we be talking about happy things? And this is just a whole bunch of yuck. But I think it might be all the more appropriate because here's the deal. While we are considering all the things that we are thankful for, we should most definitely be thankful for God's grace in our lives, including the grace that God gives us for us to be obedient, for us to know what we're supposed to be doing in the first place. We don't have to guess what it means to obey the Lord. He lays it all out for us really, really clearly. It's just a matter of whether or not we want to do that. We can be grateful for that. That's a great thing. Here's what's going on. I love this lesson. I would say follow the curriculum because it's so good and solid. But there's 2 things I think that are so important that are worth talking to our classes about that I think are super practical. We might have to build a bridge or 2 for them for it to click, but I think it's super practical. So again, this contrast of holiday season, be grateful versus super heavy lesson, make the heaviness of this all the more applicable because we want to continue to be grateful for God's mercy in our lives. So number 1, here's what's going on. Zedekiah, who was king for 11 years, was a terrible king. He was evil, no doubt, and he continued to do really, really wicked things, and he continued to pick at the king of Babylon. He was a vassal king, as you read in there. So he was king, but not really. But he just kept battering against the authorities, both the authority of God and the authority of king. And eventually, we know that it was God's judgment that fell on him. But there was a practical dynamic of this. And this is where we want to talk to our connection group leaders, our connection groups. It's this. When we sin, there are just practical ways that those consequences play out. If you are consistently speeding, eventually you are going to get caught and you're going to get a ticket. If you are consistently late to work or just a bad employee, eventually your boss is going to say, enough, I'm done with this. If you are constantly rebelling against your teachers or your principal or your parents, you're going to get grounded, you're going to get suspended, or you're going to just face consequences at school, and on and on and on. Just think through those. All of us have authorities in our lives that we answer to. And if we're honest, all of us struggle sometimes with dealing with those authorities when either it comes all the way up to our authorities in Washington, D.C., or all the way down to just our simple authorities, even the authorities of those who oversee us at the church, right? We can buck against those systems, and that can cost us dearly. And this is important. It doesn't just cost us, it costs those around us, which the lesson shows us really, really clearly, particularly those who are under our authority. Now, students might go, well, I don't have anybody under my authority. But again, sin still affects those around him. So it wasn't just people that the king was ruling over. It was some of his advisors and people that were close to him that his sin cost him. So this is real. We have these issues in our life. And so, again, we need to be thankful for grace. We need to be thankful for the fact that we know what we're supposed to be doing. And we need to be thankful for the fact that God is so merciful to us and gives us the opportunity to repent, gives us lots of time to do so. Zedekiah was king for 11 years before God did anything. That's amazing. This long suffering has always been a thing, Old Testament, New Testament. But eventually consequences come. So that's a big deal. Now, with that in mind, though, don't not finish the chapter. Verse 27 brings up this interesting story where it says all of a sudden, graciously, King Jehoiakim was released from his Babylonian captivity and allowed to spend time with the king of Babylon every day. So I'm like, well, what's going on there? This is really beautiful. King Jehoiakim was 8 years old whenever Nebuchadnezzar came and ransacked Jerusalem. And so as an 8-year-old, he was not killed as the king of Israel. Instead, he was taken captive and he was taken back. And he sat in prison for many, many years. And all of a sudden, graciously, Nebuchadnezzar said, we're going to set him free. And he's going to come and sit at my table. It's an amazing, just kind of interesting, almost kind of weird bit of grace here. But here's what I think is important to point out and what I would love for our classes to see, because it is heavy, what we're talking about. And people do need to think about, I'm thinking about my own life, man. Like, am I doing things that are going to bring not only God's judgment in my life, but just cause issues for me and my family? This is a big deal. But it's also so sweet for us to see that even in the midst of all that and our craziness and our rebellion, there's still grace, and God is still working, and God is bringing to fruition the promises that he made. It's just what he said. Eventually, we looked at this last week. You're going to be in captivity, but I'm going to set you free. And this is what the Lord does. So be encouraged, be grateful, pass that message on to your classes, and let's think sincerely as the people of God. Are we living lives that are not going to cause sinful consequences, not only to ourselves, but to our families and those around us? So, guys, I love you. Happy Thanksgiving. I can't wait to see you on Sunday. Let's go Cowboys. See ya. Bye.